Welcome back to This Day Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News Channel. With me today, I have Professor Anthony Killer, Professor of Strategy and Development and Institute Director at the Commonwealth Institute of Advanced and Professional Studies, as well as Professor David Aworawo, Professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies at the University of Lagos. Now you are watching This Day Live on Arise News. We are now being joined by Eseme Eyiboh, Special Advisor on Media and Public Affairs to the Senate President, as we expand the discussion on the President's speech after a 3-day protest. Thank you for joining us, Honorable Eseme Eyiboh.
Harry, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you in a time like this.
Well, Honorable Eyiboh, you know, I've been chatting with Dr. Monday Ubani on the President's speech and some other legal issues. But first, the big event today is that on day 4 of the protest, President Tinubu now finally decided to address the protesters. Now, we all woke up early in the morning to follow that speech. What do you think of the President's address? Do you think that he addressed the issues? There are persons like Festus Keyamo, the Minister of Aviation. You know, he has said specifically that it was a very encouraging, very motivational, very good, balanced presentation by the President. But there are some other people who say that the speech, let me quote Omoyele Sowore. Omoyele Sowore said everything that the President said was beautiful nonsense because he didn't address the issues. What do you think?
Well, when we are discussing these things, in the central to the President's speech is his own intention. What has been his intention from day one that he was inaugurated into the presidency of this country? What has been his intention? 14 months now going. How has it fared? And the speech, if you listen to him, you will hear the tone of humility. You will hear the tone of responsibility. You will hear the tone of a man who is desirous, you know, to lift the country, to enthrone the country into prosperity. How is that done? Unfortunately, Ruben, you and I know this, that governance is not like a fruit where you walk into the supermarket and pick it up. Governance is a very intangible thing that there has to be an input, there has to be an output. From the output, there has to be an outcome. There are several measures that the presidents have undertaken, several steps. For example, now, the protests exist within the provisions of the law, no doubt about that. And what is the protest intended to achieve? As it were, we are all talking about good governance. And good governance, where does it originate from? It is from a proper and a transformative input that will be able to give the output, and then it will reflect in the outcome of good governance. Take example now. I can tell you that 90% of the people in my local government, Esreke in Akwa Ibom State, are not interested to even know Abuja, as long as the local government is functional. The rural roads will be done. I could remember some years ago, in my local government, one Obong Atang built a stadium from the local government funds. He built a stadium. Prince let Udo Edukere did a lot of infrastructure, like rural electrification, opening of the feeder roads and all of that. There were interactions. There were a lot of economic and social activities unimpeded, but that is not the picture today. So the issue of the president now wanting money, or by the Supreme Court judgment that money should be sent directly to the local government, is another way to trigger prosperity and bring back the local government. And that is done unconsciously too. I can tell you, the National Assembly as presently constituted, they have been able to put together the Constitution Review Committee headed by very experienced Deputy Senate President. in the Senate and Deputy Speaker of the House of Reps in the House of Representatives. By the time the Constitution is tinkered with, and then the issue of the joint account and other encumbrances are removed, when the local government is back again on stream, the 774 local government in this country will witness opportunities and prosperities.
Honorable Eyiboh, I asked a direct question. Do you think the president's speech was a good speech, or it was just propaganda and
the president,
a set of promises instead of...
The president...
Yes, go ahead.
The president's speech was loaded, I have said it earlier, the president's speech was loaded with humility, proactiveness, determination, and responsiveness. He has renewed his contract with the Nigerian people, promising to lift, and that he is conscious of what Nigerian people are going through. And he has given that promise. So I think it's a very inspiring speech. It's a very promising speech. It is a speech that is very constructive in the intention of the current federal government to be able to give Nigeria the hope to regain prosperity and growth in this country.
Okay,
so it was an inspiring speech.
Okay, at paragraph
and constructive.
At paragraph 31, out of the 38 paragraphs, the president said, "I have heard you loud and clear," and he assured us that he's a listening president. What do you think should be the next steps? The president says he's calling for dialogue. Now, who does he want to have that conversation with? Has the government identified the leaders of the protests? Has any attempt been made to reach out to them? Because it's not enough to just give a speech.
Well, Ruben, you and I know that the issue of dialogue, you don't dialogue you dialogue with human beings. And as far as this protest is concerned, the protest is only a representation of a class of people in this country who are desirous, who are feeling the pinch. In fact, that is a representation of the entire population, of the hardship and everything. That is not neglected. That is not, nobody have taken that away, that we are not all suffering. But the issue is this. When you are talking about dialoguing, the dialogue could be represented by several activities of several arms and departments and agencies of government to ameliorate on the suffering and the suffering and what the people are agitating for. So the stakeholders in this case for the dialogue, you and I are also part of the stakeholders. The people in the various communities and the very active youth population of this country are part and parcel of the stakeholders' engagement. So such engagement is not specific to an individual person or a group of persons who want to act as champions. Because we know that in all of this, it was expected, yes, it was expected to be a peaceful protest intended to deliver a message. You know, along the line, there were a couple of distractions, but regardless of the distractions, it's very important, like the president have assured, that the engagement is going to cut across and it will be a representative engagement of all segments and sections of this country.
Okay, Honorable Eyiboh, I want to clarify something.
Very well.
Are you still, in fact,
Please do.
the spokesperson for the Senate president? Because I got confused a few days ago on the morning show when we had somebody who was introduced to us as special advisor on communication. That's Kenny Okolugbo. And I had asked him, okay, what is the difference between your job and Honorable Eseme Eyiboh's job? Can you please clarify this briefly? Because it will lead me to my next question.
Clearly and statutorily, I am the special advisor to the President of the Senate and his official spokesperson. That is clear and certain. So any other thing for now, I cannot say about the future. But as I speak to you now, I'm the special advisor and the spokesperson to the Senate President. You know, and I have not been under any instruction to either disclaim or be aware of any other appointment other than the one I have so mentioned. So I am the special advisor and the spokesperson to the President of the Senate.
Okay, your bona fide having been established, let's go back to this protest. Do you know that in the course of these protests, many Nigerians, particularly the youth, they have said that the Senate president should resign because of a statement he purportedly made in Port Harcourt, saying that those who want to protest can go ahead and protest. But those of us who are here, will continue to continue with our eating. And so Nigerians are incensed. They say, this Senate president, why is he always making controversial and embarrassing statements? He wants to eat. Why Nigerians are hungry?
Ruben, we have taken steps to correct that public impression, which is not a fact. That statement originates from malice and hatred by certain sets of persons who will never see anything good in the Senate president. I can tell you that the MD, I have personally sent, we have sent the video of this, the MD Samuel Okpugo, the MD of NDDC, the video where the man, in his inaugural speech, he made a statement, and all the Senate president did was to say that, MD, thank you very much for your address, and he proceeded to say that he wants to thank the Niger Delta people for not wanting to participate in the process, that they should own the government, participate in the government. And then the statement, which was made by the MD and was not only taken out of context, but rather ascribed to the Senate president, which was very unfair, born out of malice and not intended in any way, not intended in any way to promote the goodwill and the good intention of the Senate president to the nation. The Senate president respects the youth population. You recall that is the man who at all times have been able to promote in terms of scholarship, in terms of welfare, in terms of inclusivity, in terms of development, the youths of this country, across religious bigotry, across political lines, across clannish and tribal marks. He has done that. So he cannot renege and come so low to now begin to degrade and also, diminish the Nigerian people and their intention. He cannot do that.
Okay.
That as well as I do.
Senator Eyiboh, but why is the Senate president so controversial? You recall, before this Port Harcourt incident, he was said to have told Senator Natasha Akuti that she was not in a nightclub. He ended up apologizing to her. And then there were stories in the social media about, his association with, all kinds of persons. Why does he attract, controversy like flies to nectar? You are close to him. You work with him. Well,
I can tell you in that instance, I can only comment to the extent of the apologies and what that apology represented. But the issue of the comment, exists within the realms of legislative proceedings, which of course not even the court can comment on it. It's only within the proceedings of the legislature that comments regarding it can be made. But that has been settled by the issue of the apologies. So after that legislative privilege and of course the comment of his apology, I expected all of us, we are all humans, to now begin to look at it. From the content of the apologies, you will see the humanity in Senator Godswill Akpabio from the apologies. You will see the responsibility and the responsiveness of a leader in that, in his ambience, in his conduct, in the overall presentation of that apologies. He was not sounding arrogance. He was very deep in his apologies. He was very humble in addressing his colleagues. He represented a picture of a leader for today and tomorrow. And we are not looking at that. It is very important that in this country, we must begin to assess leaders on the basis of their characters, the basis of their content, and not on our personal opinion or perception of individuals. I appreciate the fact that there is a social media, but I'm pleading and begging that the social media should also be able to interrogate, the veracity of a couple of these things. I could as well said, Ruben, why are you behaving like a market man? I could have as well, these two places, market, club, or whatever thing, are places where procedures are not adhered to. So whatever happened was a parliamentary privilege. It's not a subject of interrogation by me or a reply by me, but all what I'm saying is that Senator Godswill Akpabio, the president of the Senate, has been able to bring to the table again the humanity in him. He has been able, by that apology, to show a connection between him and his colleagues. Yes, sir.
Honorable Eyiboh, let me go back to the protest. One of the key issues in the demands of the protesters is that they don't want a National Assembly where people are living large. They are riding SUVs, they are changing vehicles, and that they would like to see a National Assembly that is austere, that takes pay cut across board. And in this regard, they are saying, hold on. In this regard, they are saying, what is the National Assembly doing at the parliamentary level to address these grievances? Your boss, Senator Akpabio, is the chairman of the National Assembly. And one of the things they are saying in their demands is that Nigerian leaders should lead by example. Can you tell us what the parliamentarians are doing to lead by example?
Yes. Let me give you an example now so that you will appreciate it. Now, for example, by Section 88 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, a community reading of that section and Section 4 that empowers the legislature as the lawmaking body of the country. After reading through that, oversight is one of the key issues for checks and balances intended by the Constitution. The chairman of the National Assembly and the president of the Senate, Senator Godswill Akpabio, expanded the jurisprudence of oversight when he led the leadership to Dangote Refinery in an attempt to find out what is going on in the oil industry that Nigerians are suffering. You are aware that 95% of our earnings in this country, if not more than that, is on oil. So when the oil sector, the oil and gas sector, becomes a cesspool of corruption, it will affect the people. They went on that immediately after that oversight to Dangote Refinery. It triggered a lot of issues, concerns from NUPR, concerns from NNPC Limited, and we are all aware of what went on. And the Senate came back and set up the Opeyemi Bamidele's ad hoc committee to investigate what is going on there. In the course of it, while that was going on, the president came in and weighed in. The president said that crude oil should be sold to local refineries in Naira. It gave a directive to the NNPC. And you and I, we don't need to be experts in economics to know that by the local refineries, including Dangote, buying crude oil in Naira, the pressure on dollars will definitely come down. You and I know that at the end of the day, the cost of production of petroleum products will definitely come down. And it will in turn impact on marine, air, and land transport logistics. And when that happens, the cost of the transport of goods and services will be affected. The average Nigerian will also be affected positively.
Honorable.
So I want us to appreciate that this was done by the National Assembly.
Okay, Honorable Eyiboh, except that, you know, there are some critics saying that the president's promise that NNPCL should make crude oil available to Dangote refinery is at best an audio promise. But don't let us go into the details. As we wrap up now, some people have been sending me text messages that they saw a video where Senator Akpabio made the statement that people can go and protest while we are eating. Are you aware of that video?
No, Ruben, what I'm trying to say is that whoever sent the text to you or sent the message to you, of course, is intentioned by malice and hate. I am saying that it is the managing director of NNPC, please. The managing director of NDDC who made a statement. That statement, if you go to the NDDC site, you will see it. Anywhere you go, we have also made efforts in popularizing it so that we will know where the fact lies. You know, and all the Senate president said and did was, thank you very much, Mr. MD, for making that statement. And he went ahead to thank the Niger Delta people and said they should not go on protest. They should own the government because the benefit of this government to Niger Delta is tremendous and enormous. What about the East-West Road, the uncompleted part? Money has been released for it. What about the Coastal Road? They have signed into it the commencement of the construction will simultaneously start from Lagos and, of course, Akwa Ibom at both ends. And that is an impact to a region that has been suffering from all manners of economic underdevelopment. Okay. So they should be happy. That is not a region you expect them to go on protest. It has nothing to do with Godswill Akpabio. It has something to do with the collective wills of the people. What is the urges of the South people? What Akpabio only did to go there was to galvanize the goodwill of his people because he's being loved everywhere across the country. The insignificant percentage who are coming up to say or what using the social media are doing it out of malice. The people love Godswill Akpabio. He's a leader with responsibility. He is very proactive. He's very humble. He's generous in act and in heart. Okay. And such a leader should be appreciated. And I stand to be corrected. Okay. On that note, I would like to thank you very much, Honorable Eseme Eyiboh, Special Advisor, Media and Public Affairs to the Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio.